6:30, we'll call the meeting to order. First, I will have the clerk read the public notice of annual meeting.
Public notice of annual meeting of the School District of Sevastopol. Notice is hereby given to the qualified electors of the School District of Sevastopol that the annual meeting and budget hearing of said district for the transaction of business will be held on the Carl Schultz Pioneer Room at Sevastopol School on the fourth Wednesday, being the 22nd of October 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Dated this 8th day of October 2025. Jeffrey Isaacson, District Clerk. This is published in the Peninsula Pulse on October 10th, 2025 and October 17th, 2025.
We usually do some introductions, so we have tonight the superintendent, Randy Saki, Elizabeth Gaida, board member, Jeff Isaacson, board member, Richard Weidman, board member, Keith Volkman, board member, Tasha Ross, business manager, Heidi Teich, administrative assistant in the district office and secretary to the board because she keeps all of our minutes straight. Melissa Margroff, director of pupil services. Erin Hilt, elementary principal, middle and assistant middle school principal. Troy Schaefer, high school principal. And then for the guests, let's just ask us to do a meet and greet. State your name and your address within the district.
Linda Waite, I reside at 4466 Fairway Lane, Sturgeon Bay.
Diane Chapman, Pleasant Drive.
Jeff, could you in the back
Sure.
introduce yourselves?
Ken Paddock, our county administrator.
Ashley O'Grady, I'm the tech services project manager.
Jason Howard, Technology Services Director for the government.
And we have Stephen Tuchalski, our IT person and handling the video. At this point, we'll elect a chairperson, which is elected from within district residents. Is there a motion for the chairperson?
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Linda Waite, and she spells her name without an actual E at the end. Unlike last year's.
Thank you, Linda.
That's great.
Is there a second for Linda Waite?
I'd second.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing no others, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Linda, I'll ask you just to step forward, maybe sit next to the superintendent, and she'll help keep us on track tonight.
My pleasure once again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Both Ken. All right, so I guess we would, our first item of business would be to approve the minutes from our previous annual meeting on October 22nd, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from October 22nd, 2024 as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. If there's no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. And item number 4 on the agenda, State of the District 2024-2025 Academic Progress Report.
Thank you so much. Welcome and thank you for being here tonight. Really look forward to the opportunity to share with you the highlights of the district of 2024 and then future forward of the goals that we've established for 25, 26 and the work that we are doing. Focused on the district mission. The district mission is to provide students with the knowledge, skills, and attitudes necessary to be lifelong learners and responsible citizens. As we think about our job, for 13 years of a child's education, they come to us at 7:50 in the morning and they stay with us until 3:10. We have the most time during the day to make an impact on their learning and their outcome as they grow to be responsible citizens. Driving to the mission, with the mission to the board goals. You'll find the board goals are up on our website. I just want to focus on them because it really sets the stage for the work that we're doing. Number 1, we want to ensure that our students are prepared academically, that every student has the opportunity to reach their highest potential inside of our system. Number 3, we want to ensure that our facilities model the environment that is most conducive to student learning, giving each and every student the opportunity to learn in a space that works for them. We want to make sure that we are consistently articulating to our community, to our taxpayers, the work that we're doing inside of our school system. And we want to continue to look for opportunities to help support the community as we continue to move forward.
In a little while, we'll talk about some of the academic achievement, but I'd like to highlight some of the things that have happened over the last year at the elementary level. First off, this time last year, we raised about $1,000, a little bit over that, for the local VFW's post in conjunction with Veterans Day, which is coming up here soon. This year, we're going to be doing some care packages for active military. Our fifth graders started a recycling milk cartons program. Some of that came out of a community of caring program that we have. Each of the different grade levels champions a different cause. The fifth graders are involved with environmental causes. Speaking of the environment and outdoor ed, our fifth graders went to trees again, an annual trip that they do. Our lower elementary grades do regular lessons out at our Eco Lab. We have a number of events. We had our flag football game again this fall. Like last year, we do a basketball game with the staff and fifth graders. The other students are able to come, they cheer on. It's a really great experience. We have our annual Arbor Day. Trick or treat out at the Eco Lab, which was something that came out of COVID times, since kids couldn't go around from house to house. It was something we started here and has continued because of that. Let's see, we have our end of the year field day. We also ran a couple of reading challenges last year. We're involved in the Tundra Tales, which is sponsored by the Packers. We're doing that again this fall. And in the spring, we did a travel challenge where we had students reading and their minutes were translated into miles. And we saw how far that the students could go, which was kind of neat to see. We hold an annual literacy night, which is well attended and well received. A fine arts night, and we hold our holiday concerts and a senior luncheon, which is really well received by the community.
Some of the secondary highlights. I did not do that. I can do it without, but I don't know if you guys want to see it. Well, while Stephen's getting it up, I will talk about it. But we finished last year with our third year with the Character Strong program, our social emotional learning. We also have Tier 2 supports, which is awesome. So we can target the social emotional learning of all of our students. AP test scores were outstanding for us. We had mentioned this before, but 35 students took our AP exam with a total of 64 exams taken. We had 89% pass rate, which is exceptional when it comes to AP exams. Some of the highlights, our AP Lit 2 program, 100% of our students passed, and most notably, 40% of those students scored a 5, which is tremendously remarkable. Pre-calc, we also had a lot of success. 84% of our students scored a 3 or higher. So, and we did offer 13 AP courses, which is really kind of helps put Sevastopol on a map. If you really think about the size of our school and the high level rigor and academic opportunities that we offer, it's really quite impressive. Another thing that we did is looking at growth as one of our primary focuses moving forward. We brought in CISA 7 representatives to do some training with our staff and talk about what are the best proven instructional practices that increase the highest potential of learning. So some of the things that we talked about in there or they talked with our staff is visual learning practices. So just if you think about what that is, visual learning practices, the importance of when students come into your classroom, they know what they're learning, why they're learning it, and how they're learning, and it is visible. How do you make it visible? You have success criteria, which defines how you can show that you're mastering what we're learning. So this is what we're learning today, and it's present so the students know it, and this is how you're going to know that you've mastered it. And those things, the visual learning targets are really important. We talked about the importance of teacher clarity. If a student doesn't really know why we're learning something or the importance or what I have to do to show it to you, there's a lack of clarity, there's a lack of engagement, and then it impacts student learning. We also took a moment to look at and evaluate instructional practices. Instructional practices such as, are we using gradual release of responsibility? So for example, if you came into a classroom, we start a lesson, we do an I do, which means I kind of help present the lesson, what we're doing. You've seen the learning target, you know what we're learning. I'm going to kind of give you some examples, I'm going to work with you. And then we have students partner, pair, share, turn and talk, that's the we do. And then when we feel that the students have obtained the necessary skills to move on to the mastery portion of the success criteria, then they can do it independently. Those are all researched, highly researched practices that have been proven to not only increase student engagement, improve student growth, and target a large percentage of your students. National Honor Society and Academic Awards Banquet. We had another impressive showing. Once again, thank you to the Logged In who hosts us every year, but we had 72 of our high school students recognized for academic awards with a 3.8 GPA or higher. And then we are increasing our numbers in National Honor Society. Last year we had 13 inductees. We already had 16 standing members. So I think something that we do that's really cool with NHS is when they are inducted, they have to identify an adult that is a major influence to them. And it can't be their parent or anything like that. It has to be somebody that really influenced them. And what they do is they write a letter to this person. We read the letter at the NHS banquet, and then that person comes up with a new inductee. It's really powerful. People who have been nominated have really spoke about how profound and meaningful, and some people didn't even realize the impact that they had on some of our students, and they were there being recognized. So that's really awesome. Our middle school performance, our middle school scored a 95.5 on the state report card, giving us a #1 ranking of all middle schools that have grades 6 through 8 in the state. They achieved the 90th percentile in growth in ELA and 100th percentile in math, which is phenomenal. Diagnostic, we continue to use the STAR diagnostic. The purpose of that is for us to identify achievement as well as student growth potential. It lets us see what are we doing, if what we are doing is working, what kind of growth are we seeing within our classroom. It identifies specific learning targets or deficits for personalized instruction that our teachers can use this data to personalize our instruction that we give to each individual student. And then it also continues to monitor growth and progress throughout. ACT, pre-ACT, Mrs. Melchor and I had last summer had the fortunate opportunity to do a deep data dig into all of our pre-ACT, ACT scores, how to use that information to assess the results of our students, identify trends, monitor student progress, look at enhancing instructional relevance, and then with the plan to implement a mastery prep ACT for this upcoming school year. Our ACT scores, last year's graduating class had an average score of 22.1, which being able to look back at all the years, that's a pretty high score comparatively, almost matching one of our highest ACT average scores, so that was really good. And then out of our graduating class, 54% of them are currently attending a four-year college, 24% attending a technical college, 20% entered the workforce, and the 2% joining the military. That young man has yet to join, but I know that when he did graduate, that was his intent. So our seniors, last year's graduating seniors are doing great things. Extracurricular highlights. Once again, Destination Imagination at Sevastopol just continues to be the pillar of excellence and opportunity for our students. When our teams went to compete at the state event, we had three first place, 2 second place finishes at the state competition, which was a remarkable. All 5 teams ended up qualifying for the Globals in Kansas City, where they were outstanding, and it was a great opportunity for them, and it continues to be one of our most successful programs here at Sevastopol. Forensics, we only had 2 students participate in forensics, but both of those students ended up qualifying for state, which was awesome. Danielle Castillo Barahona, one of our student school board representative, and Isabella Dennis Hodavani, they qualified, which was great. Esports, Mr. Phillips has, along with Mr. Schumacher, started an esports program. We had a great participation. It has 3 different seasons. Fall is usually our smallest participation because we have so many kids participating in sports. Then it really picks up in the winter, and then in the spring we really had some awesome participation, and we actually had 3 teams that qualified for the playoffs and went pretty deep. And one of them scored. They were ranked out at the end of the playoffs, 17th out of 110 teams, and this program is just continuing to grow. So a real huge thank you to Mr. Phillips and Mr. Schumacher for their work. Rotary Interact, also headed up by Mrs. Vanderhoof, is an opportunity for student leaders to give back to the community. It's all about service. It's nothing, I guess what some people would call glamorous, but what they do is they go out and meet with different leaders in Door County, figure out what they can do to support and help and where they can support and help. They helped with the Trick or Trot by organizing and food packing, and they developed an idea to create an outdoor classroom project, and they're just constantly looking for different ways to provide a great service within our community. I did talk about the National Honor Society and the members, but man, one of the things I think as a leader of Sevastopol, as a principal, I'm just so proud of their initiative to also raise money, and not raise money for NHS, but raise money to give back. And when you look at all the events they put on, they raised $5,000 in the Trick or Treat campaign. And what did they do? All that money went to community members within our Sevastopol community who are battling with cancer to help those families. They worked at a cook check for Altrusa Gala. They created 5 female hygiene carts, so there was easy accessibility to females for hygiene products at the high school. They also had a pancake supper that's always well attended. They raised over $3,000. They cleaned up a community at Birch Creek. They organized a color run that raised another $3,000, which was given to the Ramirez family. Had a teddy bear toss. They raised over $500 and donated $100 worth of stuffed animals to help Door County. So our National Honor Society, I would compete or take what we're doing with any National Honor Society in the state. It is remarkable what our kids are doing with the resources they have. It's incredible. Solo ensemble last year, we did have one state qualifier, Caleb Johnson. If any of you had a chance to see his piano, he shared that. I mean, it was just remarkable, and his talent was through the roof. And this is somebody who doesn't even know how to play the piano, but I can see great talent when I hear it. But it was just such a beautiful performance. And we also had 11 middle schoolers and 5 high school students that participated. Am I over my time? Okay. This is where I get to step out, right?
You're going to step out. I get the honor of talking about some district-wide highlights. Some of these are repeated a little bit, but I just think it's really important to know that, you know, some of these highlights here are students pre-K through 12 participated in. The first one that I wanted to add, though, is that we are continuing to do ongoing professional development to improve our academic rigor across all grade levels. One of the things that we did last year is that we worked with CISA 7 again for the assessment project. It was fantastic. We're using different types of assessments to inform instruction, depth of knowledge questions, and collaborating on meaningful collaborations with different teachers, special education teachers, multilingual teachers, and we're really intentionally trying to improve all of our practices to make all of our learning more rigorous for our students. The completion of Act 20 requirements, that was a really big lift for our elementary teachers. As a reminder, the Act 20 was more early literacy intervention from our kindergartners up through 3rd grade. Our teachers had to be specially trained in Act 20. They went through different courses
to be able to implement all the testing that needs to be done, but not only the testing, the interventions for those students who did require and meet the criteria to have personalized reading plans. So it was a big lift for our teachers. So very, very thankful. We did a phenomenal job implementing something that was complicated. It was complicated and it was different for our teachers, and they did a wonderful job under Mr. Hilt's leadership, and also Debbie Hurst, our reading specialist. Along with the Act 20 requirements, there also went along with Ames Web testing, and that's a testing platform that all of our teachers had to become aware of as well, and had to know how to interface with, give the tests there, and then be able to interpret the diagnostic results to make sure that the right interventions were in the right place for our students. So again, a massive lift, and was very, very successful past year for our students. And we continue to do it this year as well. We also, last year, hired 5 highly qualified staff members. As a repeat again, we love our holiday concerts and our senior citizen luncheons. We love really giving back. We love opening the doors to our community and have people come into Sevastopol as the hub of the community. Robotics programming was another really big highlight. We've really been getting a lot of excitement about the robotics club. So thanks to Mr. Phillips, he's really engaged a lot of our students in engineering, mathematics, bringing in those students to build robots and compete. So their combat robots are a really big deal too. So they're building robots and they're going through different competitions too. So that was really exciting for the kids to do something different and to use their brains differently and what they love differently. And then finally, our Fine Arts Night was a huge success. I know we're already looking forward to this year's Fine Arts, but it is such a beautiful collaboration of arts, again, students in kindergarten all through 12th grade. So thanks to Mrs. Krieger for that, and also Mr. Kint for all of their organization and hard work for that. So I'm going to dive into a little bit and talk about student achievement. Again, this is a little bit of a reminder, but the requirements for mandated testing in the state of Wisconsin, I just wanted to remind our community about all the hard work that our students do and our teachers do to prepare for these assessments. All these assessments happen in the spring, and here is a list of the assessments that our students have to take. Our access for ELs, that's determining their English proficiency, and that's for our multilingual students. ACT, our 11th graders take that. Pre-ACT is our 9th and our 10th grade students. Our forward exam, our students grades 3rd through 8th, and only social studies for our 10th graders. And finally, the dynamic learning maps are for, it is the alternate assessments for our students with the most significant disabilities. Take a minute to look at our state report card trends across the past couple of years. You'll see here we started in 21, 22, and with our district scores. We are 80.3, 80.4, 80.8 was 23, 24. Please know that the 24, 25 state scores, they are in, however they embargoed until the middle of November. So once that comes out, we'll be able to present to the board and the community about our state report card. Our high school scores have stayed pretty consistent. Our last year was up at 63.1 was our last one, which was an improvement from the prior years. Middle school continues to do very, very well. And last year was at a 95.5 score, and then elementary school, again, landed this past year with an 83.3. So these are trends. The new scores that come out, it will be difficult to compare for the new scores that come out because the criteria for scoring is different this year. However, what we can do is we can compare district to district. And that's something that we can prepare when the state report card comes out. And then a comparison from the 23-24. What I love about this slide so much is that it talks about our achievement and then the state's average. So for ELA and for mathematics, elementary scored at an 83.6 and the state average is a 58.6. Middle school, 83.5 and state average is a 58.1. High school, 82.2 and the state average was 58.3. Again, congratulations to our students and our teachers for doing such a great job. Math achievement, very similar. We're at a 95.8 for elementary, but the state average is at a 64.5. Middle school, 95.9, state average is 55.7, and high school, 84.4 with a 52.7 average. Again, phenomenal work by all.
All right. Kind of continuing the discussion, district rankings. I've mentioned before, School Digger. There's some other places that do rankings, U.S. News and World Report, niche.com. But taking a look specifically at School Digger, you can see that Sevastopol School ranks very well compared to its neighbors, and has done so the last handful of years. Something I'd like to point out is for elementary achievement, Wisconsin Reads, which is an organization that was really instrumental in putting together the Act 20 law and its precepts. It took a look at all of the districts across the state of Wisconsin, and it found 5 that it wanted to select and recognize as the top districts in terms of meeting students' needs for reading. And Sevastopol was one of those 5. So, U.S. News and World Report ranks us in the top 4%, and as I had mentioned in an earlier board meeting, School Digger ranked us this year in the top 10 out of 1,040. Excuse me. Yes, in the top 10 in out of 1,044 schools. So that puts us in the top 1% of schools. For elementary achievement, it's not always good just to look at your neighbors and see how you're doing. Sometimes it's good to get outside of the district, outside of the county. And you can see a number of different districts, many in the Milwaukee area. Their scores are up there from this past spring, and you can see where Sevastopol ranks. Number 2 in English language arts, and number 1 in math with those schools that were selected. As I've also mentioned in past years, one of our big pushes is to try and work with our economically disadvantaged students and to get them raised up so that they're on the same level as our regular students. And we took a look at the scores that we have received for our economically disadvantaged students and compared those to students who are not economically disadvantaged across the state of Wisconsin. And you can see that in the last 3 years, both in English and in math, that our economically disadvantaged students are outscoring those students across the state. Not an easy feat.
All right, middle school achievement, as we had talked about, their exceptional performance continues. That's really impressive, as we talked about. The number 1 middle school for grades 6 through 8, but also the number 1 middle school in Door County. They placed in the top 2% of middle schools nationwide. This reflects a lot of different things, but the school and staff, students' dedication to academic excellence, exceptional teaching, and a supportive learning environment. Some of the things to point out, once again, the achievement scores, 83.5, 95.5. I know we've talked about that, but really wanted to go back to the growth percentile. Our ELA was at a 92, in the 92.6 percentile, and math was in the 100th percentile for our students growing with an overall score of 96.3. And then our targeted group on the report card are bottom 25%. And so if you're wondering, what the heck, do you have attendance on there? What does that have to do? Well, if you're in the bottom 25%, right, school isn't as easy for you, and our attendance rate is exceptional. So even though school maybe isn't easy, we're the place they want to come and be, which is a credit to the relationships that are built through by staff and the climate and culture that's built in our middle school. But our targeted group had a growth of 92.6 percentile, and like I brought out the attendance, but this even more impressively, the overall growth score for our targeted group, 99.3. So excellence in action is what we're seeing there. Really interesting as well, but our Sevastopol Middle School has scored significantly exceeds expectations for 7 years in a row now, which is really not easy to do. Looking at some of the other evaluating sites that Mr. Hiltz had talked about, Niche rated us the #1 middle school in Door County, the 841st best public school in America. We were 12 out of 641 middle schools by School Digger, putting us in the top 2%. Public School Review put us in the top 10%, and our reading and math proficiency scores put us in the top 5%. And U.S. News gave us an overall score of 96.1 out of 100. Really interesting when you research all these different things, these different, what would you say? What is it?
Sites organization.
Sites, organizations that what they look at, it's all different. Like some don't look at growth, some look at your like at the high school level, like your AP scores. They look at a variety of things. So it's just really interesting when you dig into that. Our high school had once again a very nice high achieving score in ELA of 82.2. Math achievement was excellent at 84.4. Niche rated us number 13 out of 474 best high school teachers. And we were ranked second in Door County. School Digger ranked our high school 70th out of 431. Public School Review ranked us one of the top 20% of all high schools in Wisconsin and top 5% of most improved public schools, and also in the top 20% for reading, language, arts proficiency. And U.S. News ranked us 34th in Wisconsin and 1,289 in the nation. These are very impressive numbers.
All right, first and foremost, I want to thank this administrative team. It is the most incredible team that I've had the opportunity to work with in 35 years. And one of the things that's so important for us as a district is that relationship piece. And I'm just going to sidebar for a minute because I remember about 20 years ago when I took a job and my dad was talking to me about change and how it happened. And he said to me, he goes, it's the relationships. And he was a high school math teacher for 35 years. I'll be honest with you. I hung up the phone, turned to my colleague and said, what is he talking about? It's research, it's best practice. But honestly, this team has proven over and over, and this community has proven over and over, it is about relationships. It is about caring. Yep, we still have best practice, we still have research that supports what we're doing, but it's the connections that we make with our students each and every day that make a difference for our district. Not only do we serve our community as they talked about and highlighted, but we also have the best performance in the state of Wisconsin across so many realms. But that doesn't mean we're going to stop. We need to continue to move forward. We need to continue to grow and learn. And we're continuing to evolve as a district and to redevelop our strategic plan. And with that, we have 4 goals that we're working on and fleshing out. The first goal is our academic achievement success, and Mr. Hiltz is going to talk to you about that and how we're going to continue to help our students grow and become successful. The second goal, as I've mentioned to you before, is around social emotional learning. That soft skill side that's so important for each and every student to know. How do they self-regulate? Where do they go if they're having struggles? How do they help them become a better citizen to better serve our communities? And then long-range facilities, tying to our board goals to ensure that we have the physical plant that we need to be successful for that future. What does that graduating environment look like for that 2040 graduate? That's not that far away. And then staying focused on the future and ensuring that we're leveraging every resource that we have to be able to get to where we are. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to the team. Thank you, guys.
All right, this past summer, we had a data team that met and took a look at some of the information we had available to us, and we developed a goal. That goal was to increase by 5% the number of students that are scoring at or above a student growth percentile of 60 on the STAR assessment that we give every student in ELA and math by the spring of 2026, when that's compared to the baseline from the fall of last year. Currently, our ELA sits at 57% of our students at or above the SGP of 60. So our goal is 62. And in math, it's 51% of our students are at or above 60, and our goal there is 56. Each teacher is going to be writing their own student learning objective with a classroom goal of a 5% increase in that area so that we can see an overall district increase from the things that they're doing in the classroom.
I'd like to talk a little bit about that goal number 2, that social emotional learning goal. A group of dedicated professionals here have been talking about social emotional learning for years, and it started mostly when COVID happened and how we were going to help the students through that transition and how we were going to help the staff through that transition to be back in the classroom. That group has grown and grown. So the group that is working, started last year, continuing this year and in the future, is a group called the Climate and Connection Crew. That's what we call ourselves. But what we are doing is we are committed to fully implementing the Wisconsin multi-level system of supports for all of our students. So we did work last year, and now we're in full phase of implementing the work that we did last year. So we're really proud of this work. So our goal is to be able to implement to fidelity the 3 tiers of intervention for our students. Tier 1, again, is what all students get. It's the instruction that happens every day. And then if students are having difficulty, if they do need something, we have Tier 2, and then we have Tier 3 levels of support for students. So we make sure that we are accurately addressing whatever needs our students might have. This year we are going to add 2 Tier 2 interventions. One of them is called Check and Connect, and the other one is called a 2x10 strategy. These are evidence-based strategies that improve the relationships that we have with students in the building, so therefore that they can feel comfortable coming to staff to address some of the social emotional difficulties that they might be having. We will continue to monitor our social emotional curriculum implementation. Our universal implementation is the Character Strong. What the group is going to do along with strong administrative presence is go in and see what Character Strong lessons are like. Help facilitate, make sure that they're happening to fidelity. It's so critically important that every teacher and every student, well, number one, we make them feel comfortable with the curriculum, make them that sense of belonging so they feel comfortable, within these Character Strong lessons. We want to make sure that they're delivered in the manner that the curriculum is supposed to be delivered. It is evidence-based, so we want to be able to make sure that that's happening. We also want to coach our staff too if they're uncomfortable, facilitating some of those social emotional lessons. We've got a dedicated group that wants to jump in and help where they can. And then finally, data-driven decision-making. Again, we want to look at those tiers. We want to see the students who are in those tiers, and we want to use data to make sure that they're moving in and out of those tiers of intervention to where they're successful. If they've learned the skills and they're ready to back out of one of those interventions, then they don't need it. They have what they need. It was successful. But if a student is stuck in a Tier 2 and they're not making any progress, then we need to react. We need to give them more. So looking at the data to make sure that our students are fluidly moving in and out of those tiers is something that the group and administrators are going to continue to do. Really proud of this work. Look forward to what we're doing next year.
And goal 3 really looks at our facility, ensuring that we have our facility up and maintaining and being good stewards of the community dollars to ensure that we stay up to date with the plant so that we are able to have an environment that is best for our students. A couple of things that we completed in the 24-25 school year and 25-26, but I put them all under 24-25 because they're completed. And really excited, if you haven't had an opportunity to be in our gym yet this year, the acoustics is incredible in there with the spraying of the foam on the ceiling. All of our roofs are up to date now, and we won't have a roof replacement for over plus 10 years, another 10 years. Our HVACs will be they've been ordered, they're built, and they will be placed in our building over our breaks this coming school year, which will include air conditioning for the new gym. So for those of you who will attend graduation in 2026, it will be air conditioning, so we're excited about that. Many of you have seen the parking lot got resealed, we replaced some athletic door sheds, and we kept our fleet of vehicles up so that we're running safe vehicles out on our roads. Some of the things that we're looking at for this school year that aren't completed is the sound system to go with the acoustics. We're looking at the venting in the wood shop and the art area. Continuing to work with the high school to provide a facelift, really getting to that future environment and opportunity for students to have a space that's conducive to collaboration and working together. We got a good start on it, but we still want some more work to be done there. And we still have a band that we're waiting for delivery on. As we continue to look for the future inside of our facilities, one of the most important things that we need to look at is what is our enrollment doing? And what are we forecasting for an enrollment in the future to make sure that we keep our facility in alignment with the number of students that we have coming in our doors. We also want to take a look at what do future learning spaces need to look like. How do our students want to learn? What kind of spaces do they want? And how can we make that happen inside of our building so that they can have a successful, positive environment? So we'll continue to look with our Buildings and Grounds Committee, continue to look as a district, engage our students in those conversations about what can learning spaces best look like for them to enhance in overall achievement. With that, we have one last goal. Mr. Schaefer.
All right, we're gonna add a little spice to this one. We're gonna team it a little bit. But one of the things that we've done, once again with collaboration with CISA 7, is really implemented discussion on AI. AI is a hot topic. We know it's not getting, it's not slowing in its progression. It's only increasing. And so, you know, as a school district, you either adapt with what's happening or you get run over. And we got to adapt and keep moving forward. So we were able to bring in some CISA 7 representatives to work with our staff on a variety of professional development centered around AI, using a variety of AI tools to, for example, for our Spanish-speaking students that their English proficiency is really low, using a program like Brisk allows us to take a document online and within seconds convert it to a Spanish-speaking document. Not only that, but if the Spanish acquisition skills of our students, let's say they're in 9th grade, but they're at a 5th grade level, with Brisk you can transfer the document to Spanish and at a 5th grade level. So they're getting the content and they're getting it at the level that they're at. So we can continue to work and focus on the content learning. They learn tools for quicker lesson planning, effective communication, making modifications, leveraging AI in the classroom by identifying red, yellow, and green lights. For example, if I'm doing a research paper with students, the green light is identifying for them, this is where you can use AI, this is what you can use it for, such as like research and things like that. But then a yellow light is you can only use some of the AI, maybe for a proofreading after you've written the document, and a red light is no AI whatsoever. So, and setting those parameters to kind of have some guidelines, but I think another obligation of schools is to teach students how to use AI responsibly as well. So with that, they've also learned enhanced support services for ML, scaffolding, using voice-to-text translation. For example, if you were ever in like Miss Cotty's room, she utilizes her phone and has dialogue with students who speak very little to no English and still is able to communicate with them and get a productive lesson.
Yeah, I'd like to add something.
Yes.
So, you know, not only are we keeping up currently with AI, we're learning how to, as adults, work smarter, not harder. How do we use that as an advantage? But we're also able now to understand how diverse our classrooms are. Every classroom has a variety and levels of learners. Using AI and understanding where you can prepare a lesson where everyone in your classroom gets exactly what they need. If we have a learning target up there, they know exactly what they need to learn, right? But now they're given the material in ways that they can understand. It's a language, maybe a barrier. Is it a reading, or is it a reading level that's different? Pupil services, special education, they use these things all of the time to make sure that every student in that classroom is respected enough to get exactly what they need when the content is delivered. using AI allows the teachers to be able to use those, to be able to differentiate for all of our students in the classroom. So it's not just for our multilingual students, it's for all of our students who learn a little bit differently, because they all deserve to be in that classroom. And not mastering this, but really taking hold of this and being able to use it shows, that every student belongs in the classroom and that the teachers are addressing every one of those unique needs. And that's something to be really, really proud of. And I know our teachers are phenomenal and they're doing their best to incorporate all of this, but I'm really happy that we're continuing to go in this direction for our students. It's wonderful.
And as great as Mrs. Margraf just articulated that, we do know there's a little bumps in the road for teachers, right? Because there's a learning curve here, and that's where I really want to commend our teachers, because there are days of frustration, there are days of creating modifications and not quite always seeing the success that you want, and constantly, collaborating and figuring out what's best. So they are working tremendously hard to meet the needs of not just our ML students, but all of our students. And just wanted to make sure I added that. There is a little growth that goes there. Just kind of wrapping up. First of all, I want to thank all of you for your undivided attention, unbelievable eye contact. You've been dialed in through this short presentation, so I thank you for that. We do have a box there that says any questions. Do you have any questions? Anything that's lingering? Okay. And then just kind of talking about like some of the key takeaways, right? We're committed to academic excellence. We want to improve student performance, not just some students, not a few, all. We're going to continue with our STAR diagnostic as a tool to give us feedback of where our students are at. We are fully implementing the Wisconsin multi-level system of support framework to address the social and emotional needs of all of our students, because all of our students come to us with very different backgrounds, different challenges, different experiences, and we need to make sure that we're providing those opportunities and doing a really important skill, which is to help them navigate through the challenges of not what only happens in school, but when difficulties happen outside of school. How am I able to separate that and be a productive member in our school? The AI, integrating AI into our classrooms, leveraging it, not being afraid of it, using it to improve instruction. And then we're going to continue to build upon our successes, make strategic investments to ensure students are prepared for the challenges and opportunities of the future. Before the greenhouse there is beautiful, but I just also want to kind of make a huge shout to our community, because we were really blessed here at Sevastopol with community support, not only with passing a referendum, but the community support has allowed us to maintain our beautiful facilities that we have here. There's a beautiful building for our students. Maintain those great class size student-teacher ratio, which is awesome. Continue to offer unbelievable programs for enrichment to our students, and then just create the highest level of learning experiences possible. So our commitment, Sevastopol School District's commitment to academic excellence, character growth, social emotional support, and a vibrant extracurricular program has positioned our district for continued success. The development of the district's strategic plan, anchored with our 4 goals, guides its progress and empowers our students to thrive. As Sevastopol looks towards the 2025-2026 school year, the community can expect an exceptional educational experience for all of our students that inspires, engages, and drives the district's trajectory of excellence forward in all things. Thank you.
Moving along to item 5, hearing and presentation of the 2025-2026 Sevastopol school budget. For just a minute, if these will review.
you the 2025-2026 annual budget. My name is Tasha Ross. I'm the finance manager for the school district, and thank you for coming tonight. As we start our budget discussion, I want to review a little bit about the big factors that influence our budget. There are really three big pieces of the pie that really determine our budgeted revenues. One is the revenue limit. The state statute caps our resources available to the district. This year, our cap is $11,991.82. That's up $325 from the last year. You might remember a couple of years ago that Governor Evers put in a line item veto that moved that revenue cap up $325 every year. That has continued under this current budget. The revenue limits are based on the number of resident students, and then we use a 3-year rolling average of those resident students. Also, equalization aid. Equalization aid is defined by student numbers, property value, and shared costs. The idea is that it equalizes out the value among all Wisconsin schools and kind of gives a little bit more here and takes a little bit more from there. We get all of $2,917 in equalization aid this year. So the district gets very little equalization aid. That amount reduces by 15% a year. We're in continual spiral down. Finally, the state biennial budget has a pretty big impact on our budget, and this year there are a number of changes. While the increase in $325 per pupil is helpful, I also want to reiterate that it's been 18 years since the inflationary adjustment was removed on that value. So we are almost $3,500 per pupil behind the inflationary per pupil amount at this point. The state budget increased special education aids, which is excellent. Not as much as we had hoped, but it is a move up and it is something. It means about $125,000 in additional aid to our district. We also apply for and last year received high-cost special education aid. Not all districts have to apply for that. We did last year. We received about $7,800. We're hoping to almost double that amount under the state's new limits and their new pool. Finally, the state modestly increased transportation aid. Transportation aid for us is about $28,000 a year. We're looking at a couple $1,000s extra this year. All right, for the budget time, really our budget process is pretty much a year-round process. We are either monitoring the budget, we're looking at our goals, or we're starting the process to setting up next year's budget. Whether that be capital needs or whether we're talking staffing and benefits, whatever it is. So really through January through March, our admin team is working on the budget. We're working with our board to set some parameters and distributing our budgets to departments to kind of put together their wish list or their desired budget. By April, we're really looking at our staffing budget and pretty much have that nailed down. And in July, we can present the preliminary budget. In July to August, we get more numbers from the state. We're able to further refine our budget. In September, we get our student count. And our student count, like I just talked about, is really what sets our revenue limit and our aid estimates. So until October, we don't have all of the pieces that finally get that budget together. So we're about 3 to 4 months into our year before we can finalize and set the budget for the year. Enrollment has held pretty steady at around 600 students for the last about 7 years. The difference between that top line and the bottom line, the enrollment and the head count versus the adjusted head count, is our open enrolled gap. So Sevastopol open enrolls a lot of students in and doesn't open enroll a lot of students out. We're very open enroll in heavy, which means that we get some aid from other districts for those open enrolled students, but it reduces the number of students or resident students that we are able to use in our revenue limit and able to tax for. So the 523 students, big difference from 600, is what we can use for our tax and our revenue limit, excuse me. This graph just shows a little bit about that inflationary adjustment. The gray area in the background is where we would be at per pupil if we were able to keep up with inflation. So $3,500 a student times 525 students is a big difference for our district. The good news is that we have had an excellent community who is able to help fill that gap for us. Our budget goal this year was to create a balanced and strategic budget that aligned with the district's priorities and supports the district's mission to provide a high-quality education to all students. So in keeping with that budget goal, these are the highlights of our budget. We have a tax levy increase of $33,740. So our tax levy is about $12.1 million. It was also $12.1 million last year. Very small, 0.28% increase. The fund balance is expected to end the year at a healthy 31% of expenditures. Our policy calls for a range of between 25 and 33%, so we should fall right within our policy limits. Our general fund expenditures are increasing approximately $1.8 million. We can attribute a portion of this to our inflationary adjustments to wages and benefits, as well as other costs. But a big portion of that $1.8 million is the capital costs that we are putting forth to our facilities. I guess Randy talked about capital costs earlier, so. Fund 27 expenditures are increasing approximately $230,000, and this is really related to wages and benefit adjustments and our contracted instructional costs. The debt service levy is decreasing 61%. So in a referendum change, we are able to shift. That's when we're able to shift our costs around. And we were able to move some of those dollars from debt service over to our operational side. So our revenue in our general fund is going up while our debt service is going down. Our food services budget is making improvements. We're able to reduce the transfer from the general fund by about $40,000. And finally, the levy for the community service fund is going from $20,000 to $56,500. The district has allocated a portion of costs from our security services and the increase in those security services to our community service. Our community service officer, or SRO, does a lot of work in our community more than just in our school district. In addition, we have allocated a portion of costs from our ELL department. We are doing more community outreach in that area. And then we have also allocated a portion of costs for those coordinating that. This is a breakdown of our general fund revenue. The biggest change here is really the increase in tax revenues. Again, it's that adjustment of moving it from the debt service fund over to the operational side without increasing the levy. Our open enrollment revenues are up about $200,000. That is the result of a change in the state budget. Our equalization aid is down, but it wasn't very high to begin with, so that's okay. State and categorical aid is approximately the same, and federal aid is down just a little bit. Our general fund expenditures, for major changes, we had an 18.6% increase in health insurance costs. We were able to offer other plans to the district to kind of change our roadmap going forward with that. We were kind of locked into that 19.6% increase. We also had a 2% increase in wages. In support services, that is made up of our pupil services, our administration, our operations, and transportation. So a big portion of what's in our support services are those capital items. Our capital projects included a new roof, the parking lot seal, replacement of HVAC units, for improved climate control, the acoustic work, updates to the locker rooms and restrooms, some furniture replacements in multiple sections of the building, including new student desks for several different rooms. Our administrative team has been focusing on ensuring we are capturing all of our necessary projects, really planning ahead, planning several years out, and trying to smooth those capital requirements or capital needs. This is just another way of looking at our general fund expenditures. We can see that a greater portion of the budget is being allocated to those support services, which is those capital needs. In our special education fund, we're seeing a lot of what we have budgeted this year is very similar to last year. Proportions are pretty much the same. We have a small increase in expenditures, really related to wages and benefits. Our revenue from state and local sources is an increase of about $125,000. That's really offsetting that cost, keeping our transfer from general fund approximately the same. When we look at our referendum approved debt, you can see that obviously something big happened in 25-26. So that's the final year of our defeasance. We were able to pay off debt early, saving the district interest costs. In all of the defeasance that we have done, the district has saved over $2 million in interest. What we have also been able to do is smooth out those debt service payments in future years and reduce them when we go for the next referendum, so that we reduce that tax impact to our constituents. In our food services fund, we have been really looking at our food services fund and what we can do on both the revenue and the expenditure side to reduce our transfer. We were able to bring down our transfer about $40,000. We're looking to continue to improve that. We want to continue to give our students nutritional, healthy options, but we also want to be fiscally responsible. So in summation, we are looking at proposed property tax levy of $12,146,936, an increase of 0.28%. This would be a mill rate of $3.95 per thousand. We had 3 years of a totally flat tax levy, and you can see that on the next slide. Tax levy has been flat since the end of construction, and we have been trying to keep it within those constraints. When we went out for the referendum last year, all year we've been very cognizant of what we told our taxpayers and what we told them we would levy and what we told them the mill rate would be. I'm happy to report that we are about $200,000 under what we told them we would levy, and we're about 50 cents per thousand under what we said the mill rate would be. And this is just showing the mill rate to equalized valuation. It's just basically telling you that as equalized value goes up, it does not mean that the school gets anything more really for tax dollars. Because of that revenue limit, it constrains what we can do. So back to our goal, we wanted to deliver a balanced budget, and we are delivering a balanced budget, including a $150,000 transfer to our capital projects fund in Fund 46. So the first time we've been able to make a transfer in a few years, and that means that we are saving for future capital projects. We retained high-quality staff and been able to provide competitive and expanded benefits packages. We have focused on educational priorities and funded needs of today's students through curriculum, technology, and quality experiences. And we focused on maintaining existing facilities and providing a safe and healthy learning environment for our students. Because nothing's more important than these guys. That's who we're doing this from. So I appreciate your time tonight. Does anyone have any questions that I can help answer?
Tasha, can you just reiterate what that levy is that you're asking for?
Yep, I will go back to that slide. But it is $12,146,936. $936.
That one there.
Yep.
Last page.
12,146,936?
Yes.
Thank you.
Last page.
Tasha, on page 17, under support services. So other support services, and I'm just looking at this because it's a fairly large amount, 665,000 almost. So what would fall under that other support services?
I'm going to grab a packet so I can see which page you're looking at. I want to make sure I'm looking at the same fund you are. But support services is going to be anything, in the way that the structure of accounts goes, it's going to be anything that is not directly instructional. So it can be guidance, occupational therapy, it can be our athletic supervision, it can be principals, it can be administrative or board costs, it could be finance, it could be operations, it could be technology. Those are all considered support services.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice summary, instead of going through line by line. It's really made it easy for a layperson like myself to actually understand it. So thank you very much. So moving on to item number 6 on our agenda. Discussion action, bullet point A, set the 2025-2026 tax levy. So I believe we're looking for a motion. And that levy would be $3.95. Is that correct? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
12,146,936.
I would move to set the Sevastopol school levy, tax levy at $12,146,936.
All right, thank you, Mr. Weidman. And a second on that?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Green. Oh, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? None? That motion is carried. Thank you. All right, set the board member salaries, and I think I saw in here they're currently at $270 per meeting plus $50 per diem.
I make a motion to keep them
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to retain those at $270
Yes.
and plus the $50 per diem.
No
So no
increase.
change.
No change, no increase.
All right, any questions or discussion
No
on that?
raises.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? That motion is carried. Approve the sale of district property. Any property should come up for sale. And it's just a blanket motion that if something comes up, you have the authority to sell it.
Correct.
So, a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the sale of district property if it comes up.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? None? Motion carried. And then to set the next annual meeting date, proposed for October 28th, 2026.
I move to set the 2026 annual meeting date at October 28th, 2026, adjusted if necessary, as determined by administrators.
Second.
All right, motion and second on that, for next year's annual meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? All right, motion carried. Other business. I noticed that we have our county administrator here, and several people from our County IT Department, were they gonna speak, or
No.
do you have a concern or anything? Okay, all right, well, thank you for coming. Any other business? None? All right, then I guess I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All right, motion and second to adjourn the annual meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.